Hello friend and welcome to Borgcast Lower Decks 5.1!
Yay!
The last season, maybe, who can say? But for now. And the first episode is Dos Cerritos.
Yes.
Which I believe means two Cerritos. Because, you know, I know foreign languages.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I right, C-3PO, I tell you. Got a golden rod and everything.
Phenomenal.
Anyway.
Captain, we're being hailed.
Hailed? By who?
It's the Cerritos.
Oh, stupid dimensional rifts. On screen.
What up, Cerritos? This is Captain Becky Freeman. Looks like we have a lot to discuss.
So, you have a Kivas Farjo-style collector.
Yes, Yorif. He's technically the same species as Palor Toff, who turned up on Kivas Farjo's ship. But yes, you're thinking Most Toys, and that's why he went to that place. Yes. Yeah. And for his ship, they've used the basic design of the Bajoran transport model. Right. Which is the sort of thing that happened a lot in Next Generation Deep Space Nine. They, take a model and then retrofit it.
What was it? Was it the Iridian freighter? It was
Yeah,
one that they were always using.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's got one of these weird nose things.
Yes.
He's trying to impress a woman with all this stuff. For them
An Hellion.
Right.
Yes. First seen in Next Generation's woeful Season 6 story, Aquiel.
Oh.
Yes, quite.
That's a Geordie story.
A Geordie has no luck in love story, yes.
Oh. They're attacked by Orion pirates.
Yeah, I love that ship design.
Yeah.
Very pointy.
And he's like, don't worry, because I've got a secret control room. At which point the woman turns out to be Tendi. And he's like, hey.
Kicks butts.
And she says, I am the mistress of the winter constellations. And he's like, well, am I supposed to know what that is? But the other Orions fight, and I love the fact that one of them is trying to take the nose thing.
Yes, it's prescription.
But Tendi doesn't want them killing anyone. This is causing a bit of tension.
Tendition. No, okay, let's not go there.
No. That's your teaser. Then on the Cerritos, you have Mariner trying to complete some... It's like a matchstick type puzzle thing.
Well, it's a disgrace that you did not recognise Calto, the Vulcan game that turned up in Voyager Season 3's Alter Ego. No, I had to look that one up. Because I know you're such a fan of Voyager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Boimler appears, at which point she's sort of half of her matchsticks drop or whatever. And he says, look, I'm in 30 under 30. Except he hasn't. They've missed him out, even though they've given Naomi Wildman an honourable mention.
Yes.
The annoying kid from Voyager.
Yes, you
Voyager
remember
had
that
a lot
much.
of annoying characters, but there was only one annoying child.
Doubled down with that one, didn't they?
Oh, don't. And when you had scenes with her and fucking Neelix.
Yeah. And then they added the Borg kids as well, just for good measure.
Oh, and then sometimes Chakotay would exist.
Yes. Happy times.
Yeah.
But still not doing Voyager, then, eh? the look.
You can always activate the emergency podcast
Yes,
telegram.
yes. But it wouldn't be the same.
Fine. And then she's complaining that she's just like, oh, I've been given a new batch of ensigns. Why did they put me in charge of people? I like Telen. She says, maybe they like it that you tell it like it is.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, that's sweet. Meanwhile, Rutherford suddenly appears,
Yeah.
so it buggers up the, what is it, cow toe?
Yes. And he's not
Ooh.
clean shaven. And he's sweaty.
He's got horrible sweat marks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so letting himself go without Tendi around, which is really sweet.
He says, oh, I'm just quietly working. If I keep working, it stops my brain thinking about the sad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Aww. And Mariner's like, look, clearly we all need some downtime. And she's about to organise for them to do stuff together. And then they all need to go to the bridge. There's another quantum fissure. And of course
And they first featured in Next Generation Season 7's Worf-centred Parallels.
Oh, the one with the trophy and has he
Yeah.
come 9th or won it or
Yeah.
4th or...
And the one that started the whole Worf Troy thing, which you're so fond of.
It's an alternate universe. It doesn't fucking count.
The real one was in there.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Worf Troy one.
No, but it became the Worf Troy one, ironically. Became a thing in Season 7.
Yeah,
Troy
but he
Worf.
shouldn't have done. Should never have done. Massive mismatch.
I thought they were cute.
No. Anyway, They then start entering this. They're trying to seal this rift, but they start entering it. Then they're hailed by an alternate Cerritos, which has Captain Becky Freeman.
Yes, I like what they do with this parallel crew because they're not like all evil versions, which they would be in other Trek series. So, for instance, we've got King Billups, who's obviously accepted his world's rules, so wears a crown, a cape, and a sash.
Yep.
You've got the Ta'anas as cats would facing off against each other all the time. Yep. You notice the parallel crew, by the way, have darker coloured uniforms, so you can tell them apart that way as well. Parallel Boimler does the Riker chin stroke all the time. Parallel Ransom has a mullet, because of course.
Oh, God, yeah.
I do like Captain Mariner's hair. I thought it was quite stylish.
I like Shax's plait.
Shax's plait, yes. And it's finally revealed that Mariner's full name is Beckett Mariner Freeman.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yep.
It's quite common to take, because it was mother's maiden name as a middle name. Meanwhile, Tendi calls her sister and says, have I paid you back yet? And it's like, no. But you could pay back one ship for another. It'd be a symbolic victory for our house. And it's a really old ship from a time of the plague or just after the plague. And if she retakes that and gives it to her sister, she can go back to the Cerritos.
Tendi too.
Yes.
And Erica.
The other thing I've noted here with the alternate crew, the other two things, is other Rutherford has way more mods. He's hardly human at all.
Yeah.
And you have Telen, where alternate Telen says remarkable instead of fascinating. You get a lot of play off with that. Then they're all arguing over whose is you get lots of arguments over whose is the prime and whose is the proper and whose is the fake, and which is rather silly. But there's no alternate Captain Freeman.
No.
There's no
mystery about that.
Yes. Well, you find out a bit later on in the episode she's ended up at Starbase 80. But...
No!
And then Mariner is talking to her counterpart, trying to get sort of tips on leadership. And you get the first inclination that alternate Mariner is not quite right, because the two, I can't remember the characters' names, it's come up before, they're wearing yellow, I think they might be Trill or something, and they're carrying something, and one of them, just because she walks past, automatically stands with a straight back, which means she drops the thing she was carrying. And she's like, stand up straight and all the rest of it. It's like,
she was the one I think Boimler went out with briefly, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. She's normally at Ops.
Yeah. And she says, fear is the only weapon or the best weapon. It's like, okay. Meanwhile, the Orions are on this old ship and they're talking about it, and one of them accidentally presses the console and turns it on. So they're like, we can find a way to the bridge, and they start talking about it. And then the blue Orions are also there, but they call themselves Orions.
Yes. So this is from the animated series.
Oh, is it?
Orions turned up in the animated series, but for some reason they were blue. And they
Is that because of the colourblind artist?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Because he did pink Klingons, didn't he?
He did, yes. And those crappy DC Comics style outfits. Yeah, that's from the episode.
Is it?
I'm looking forward to watching that one.
Okay. And there's immediately a fight involving disruptors. Meanwhile, the two Cerritos are interlocked.
Oh, I love that. Yes, the way they're sort of upside down and connected.
So that they can then fire a connected beam at the rift. And the two Boimlers are together in the shuttle. And it's quite clear that an alternate Boimler, or Beardy Boimler, clearly because he has got a beard, has been able to achieve more.
You're saying that all I've achieved is because I've got a beard?
No, I'm saying that one of the reasons the other Boimler hasn't achieved is because he lacks one.
Ah, right. Well, we'll have to do something about that, won't he?
Yes. He says that, Brad was made to be captains. And then Rutherford asks about Tendi, and Otherford, which I like that he calls him, says, who is Tendi? And Beardy Boimler explains that she went back to the Orions and he was so upset that he just erased the memory because he couldn't cope. And so Rutherford decides he wants to do something about it. And then that's right, it's fear is the best motivator, is what Captain Freeman, alternate one, Captain Becky Freeman is saying. And as she's having this conversation, you find all the counterparts fighting each other in a shuttle bay. But what I love is the two Ta'anas. They're just...
And the two Ensign Taylors as well, the Kazintis, they're quite fun in that. And the Captain Mariner declares no interpersonal conflict on this ship, which was, of course, Roddenberry's maxim for the Next Generation and was carried forward by Berman The reason why they killed off the McKee storyline in Voyager, for instance.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah. No, they can't have interpersonal conflicts, so... ruined that show, didn't it?
Yeah, just a bit. And meanwhile, the Blue Orions are fighting our Orions, and one of them is called, what is it?
Kelevin.
Yeah.
So it's like Kevin, but it's got an L in it. So they're following the same pattern as the Orions we used to.
Erica and Kelevin. And afterwards, Tendi heals one of them.
Yeah, that's Kelevin. Freeman orders the activation of the energy transfer, but the Ransoms quarrel over who gets to press the button. But at the same time, complimenting each other on their sexiness in the process.
I like that.
Because, of course, Ransom's in love with himself.
Yep.
Something goes wrong. The Kashons start fighting, and Captain Mariner gets her riding whip out, which is all very, what was his name? Styles, wasn't it? In Star Trek 3, he had one of those.
Okay.
She's stopped by Lieutenant Mariner. The evil captain threatens to throw most of the Cerritos crew into the brig, and King Billups points out their ship is mostly bricks. Kashon effectively gives himself up to save the others. Rutherford reflects sadly that without Tendi he'd end up as Otherford. And Boiler says that he's close to being a Borg, though. This prompts Rutherford to change Otherford's settings to make friends mode, which is a bit cheeky, but there you go. Boimler asks his alternate to tell him all the great decisions he made, but he gets rebuffed, only for Beardy Boimler to leave his pad randomly floating in space for our Boims to grab guiltily. Nearly at the bridge, Tendi's map is stolen by Kelevin. Kalara realises the Blue Orion should be dead, and the three crewmates turn on their traitorous captain. With their second attempt ready, grumpy Captain Mariner orders the prime Cerritos crew off her vessel, but not before calling Mariner into a ready room where she's stunned. I mean, in a phase away rather than being impressed, clearly. Coming to, Mariner realises her alternate is replacing her and remarks on how hacky that is, which kind of enables them to get away with a hacky plot choice, kinda. Wanting a return to a life of rebellious freedom, the captain departs with a sarcastic Vulcan salute, giving Mariner a taste of her own medicine. Tendi kicks her own crew's ass, pointing out that she has her own code to follow, and that means not killing people. Turns out her crew want to be powerful enough to cease pirating like her, and bake, dance, and teach ethics at Orion University, which must be a short course, I can't help feeling. Kira, who's the dancer, accidentally kicks a panel and activates the ship's power, revealing it to be a medical frigate. It's a great bit of design work, I love it. All the sort of lots of stasis pods and things. They discover it has an advanced ventilation system to rapidly clean the air, which is going to come in handy. Otherford decides it's time to make some memories of friendship, and Free Arm embraces his alternate, which I remember was in the trailer for Season 5. Yeah. It's quite sweet. The pulse is fired at the fissure to reopen it. Mullet Ransom lets slip that their Freeman is on Starbase 80. Mariner orders the ship to release her bonds, which it does since she's the captain here. She hails her Cerritos, but her evil alternate left swipes the comm. That's a dating app reference, isn't it? I mean, not that I particularly know, but, you know. She orders Shax to open fire. The Orions flood the bridge with gas and take down their blue nemesis. What is the plural of nemesis?
Nemesis. Like diocese and diocese, not dioceses.
Right.
So
Nemesis the Warlock. Okay, very good. Mariner fesses up to what's happened, and Goatee Boimler sticks up for her.
What a guy.
He's a bit like, Ace Rimmer, isn't he?
Yep.
Gets everything right, everybody loves him. Evil Mariner calls Freeman Mother, which is something of a giveaway, and leads to the captain wanting to swap the Mariners back again. Mullet Ransom sends his Mariner to the brig, making Beardy Boimler acting captain, and the lieutenant points a Riker manoeuvre to get out of his chair. Hurrah! The Orion medical frigate takes off. It has this cool rotating windmill thing.
I like that.
Which the Orion vessels in Strange New Worlds do. Not that we see much of them. I mean, that's the thing that Lower Decks gets right, is you actually see the ships.
Yeah.
You get beauty shots and everything.
Well, because it doesn't make any difference whether you're drawing people or drawing ships. The cost is the same.
I guess, but they don't have to, but they do, so that's good.
Yeah, but there would be significant additional cost.
Well, they need to be spending the money in the right places, don't they? Dear. Anyway, in the bar, Freeman is drinking from a bottle with a Quark's Bar label. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
Boimler is reading Beardy Boimler's pad, which reveals he made the front cover of Fleet magazine. Mariner spots the ensigns she'll be supervising and swears not to become like her evil version. T'Lyn responds with a remarkable. making her friends think she's the alternate version, but this is a very straight-faced prank. On Orion, a message arrives to tell to Erica that the Blue Orions have declared war. Having been given her freedom, Tendi decides this is her mess to clean up, which leads us into the next episode.
Yep.
So yeah, I love the teaser with Tendi and kick-ass action.
Yep.
It's fun seeing her living the pirate life in her own ethical way. I'd watch a spin-off Pirate Tendi show. And I suspect half of Tumblr would flip for it.
Yep.
We had to get an episode featuring alternates eventually, and at least they don't go the lazy route and make them all evil or gender swap everybody. And there's some fun ideas like King Bullops and Successful Boimler. Shame we don't see an alternate Mick Limo, though. I wonder what he would have been like. No spoilers, but a small arc for the season starts here as well. But I'm not going to say anything more about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's fun. They do something different with an alternate universe. The fact that they're all arguing with each other and the digs like no interpersonal conflict.
Yes, we've moved on from Deep Space Nine, haven't we?
But also, I love it. There's a line taking the piss in a way out of the whole ROM thing in Deep Space Nine when it goes mad with the one with Ezrian.
According to scans, the quantum signatures of the parallel crews exhibit a mere 0.327% variance. I concur. It would appear our respective universes are only negligibly divergent. Fascinating. You say remarkable, while I say fascinating. Remarkable. Fascinating.
It's almost like we represent each other's lives if we'd made slightly dissimilar choices or something.
Do you mean this is slight? Do you know what I mean? Tongue-in-cheek. And I like that. To me, this is Mike McMahon gently taking the piss out of alternate universe episodes. And I like things like that because it's still fun. It's done affectionately. But I don't like alternate universes for all of the reasons that you get here.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter because we're focused on the main crew anyway.
Yeah, and the thing as well is it's taking a piss out of them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think they could have done Miglimo. They could have done every character, if you see what I mean.
He was the only noticeable one that was
and
left
maybe
out.
they just couldn't think of something good to do, and it's better that they didn't do anything than do something bad.
I mean, they've gone down the Red Dwarf route and made him a cat or something instead of being a bird, you know?
Yeah.
But they've got enough cat creatures as it is, so they don't need another one.
No, so I don't know what they would have done, and maybe they just didn't have a good idea. But I like the fact that the captain is missing, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a difference. But it's not all doom and gloom either. So it's not like the one where one of the many Worf ones where they're all at war.
Yeah, well, indeed, Discovery.
Yeah. No, that's one of the alternate universes I liked, I think, because it was so deliciously evil.
Uh-huh. Right, well, let's find out what other people thought, and we've heard from the Llama God.
Llama's log, Scotty, Fixie Coeg, share. Calling it quits now. Baby, I'm a wreck. Oh, here we are then for the final season of Lower Decks, and it's about time. No, wait, that's a Doctor Who tagline, isn't it? But yes, it's the final season, and that's probably a good thing, actually. Now, whoa, that sounds like quite a comment I'm making there. I have, of course, just finished watching Season 5, and whilst I certainly didn't dislike it, I felt that it was slightly weaker than Seasons 4 and 3, which I really, really liked. So whilst that's entirely subjective, and it's just me, and like I say, it's not bad at all, I think that maybe putting a stop to the series now, or at least for the meantime, is probably a good idea before things start to get a little bit stale. Obviously, that was just me watching through the series for the first time with the weight of expectation on it, so I'm really interested and excited to find out what I make of it as we do this watch along. So take my comments there with a grain of salt, because I am as well. So yes, this first episode gets off to a good start, but it does also highlight a couple of issues with the season. On the plus side, there's a story about multiverses, and as everybody knows, I think from previous comments I've made, multiverses is one of the things I hate the most about science fiction stories, unless they have some sort of impact on the characters that we follow on a weekly basis. And in this case it does, actually, so yeah, I'm going to allow this one. What I do really like about this episode is the comment on the fact that multiverses are rather done now, they're rather passé, and everyone's a bit tired of them. So yeah, nice to see that commentary there, and they're not just coming to this with a typical Marvel belief of, aren't these still interesting and exciting? We're expecting DC to start doing their own multiverse films any moment now, just getting their finger on the pulse as ever. But yeah, anyway, so it's nice to see that commentary, and it's also really nice that the alternate Cerritos is just ever so slightly different than our usual Cerritos. That's really nice to see as well. It doesn't go with any of the usual tropes, it's just ever so slightly different. That's nice to see. The downside of the episode, I think, is Marina's storyline, because I just don't really think it's needed. The whole point of the previous season was Marina coming to terms with her own issues with Starfleet and things that happened to her in the past, and coming back to a place where she actually knows who she is and what she wants and what she loves about Starfleet. And I think going back to that again is just not necessary. I mean, yeah, she sees from Becky an idea of where she could go, but I don't think that's kind of the place that she was going to anyway, so I don't really see the necessity in examining that side of her character. I think it's been done, so yeah, there's a little bit of a waste there, I think. On the other hand, the other characters are very well served. I love Boimler, the fact that he's really insecure compared to his alternate universe counterpart, who I love at the very end of the episode when he goes to assume the captain's role, does a reverse Riker getting out of the chair. That's brilliant, love that. Rutherford also learning to deal with the loss of one of his friends, and how some of the different coping strategies he's trying aren't necessarily healthy, so yeah, that's good to see that as well. And obviously the Tendi stuff was brilliant. Love to see her in action as Orion. Love to see her being a pirate, but also not wanting to be a pirate. And what's really refreshing is discovering that her crew equally don't want to be doing all the killing. They want to be going for doing other things as well. So Orions aren't just this whole pack of stereotypes. So yeah, loved all of that, really. And we do get that rather wonderful sequence where they use the laughing gas and then realize her mask can't feel to the laughing gas. That's good. And of course this leads to our cliffhanger to start the season with that her family are now going to war. So yeah, nice juicy stuff there to get things going. Love that. Also really like the refreshed credits. As ever, we're adding additional threats to the end of the credits there. Last season we added the whale probe from Star Trek 4. This season we're just adding everything. Giant green hand, Tholian web, and Vija. I already chuckled when the whale probe did its little honking, screeching sounds, but when Vija shows up and does the blaster beam, I laugh every time. I just love it. It's over the top. Too much. But yeah, it's great. It's perfect. Should be lower decks. So yeah, this isn't by any means a bad episode at all. It's definitely very entertaining. It's a question of whether it can sustain this during the season and whether I reappraise things by the time we get there. But that aside, I do really enjoy Lower Decks still, and I'm looking forward to watching all the other episodes as well. So yeah. So as ever, I've been just to find out what anyone else made of these. I hope everybody's refreshed after the holidays and you're ready for what's going to face us this year. Oh God. And until next time, glory to you and your cast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Maybe we are living in the alternate universe.
No. The comment about the opening credits, I asked you when we watched it if there was... Did they add anything... Where's the green hand from, though?
That's an original series episode. I think we've seen it. It's the Apollo one, isn't it?
Oh, is
And
it?
it grabs the ship, yeah.
Oh, okay. But his hand's not green, though.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. No, not the Apollo character, but the hand that grabs the Enterprise in space is green.
Ah.
For reasons.
Because, fine. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, in terms of it coming to an end, it's better that it does this now than a character has sex with a ghost.
Yes. I mean, I know they were aiming for the 7 seasons of DS9, Voyager and Next Generation, but let's face it, the season 7s of all those series were
not
a bit
as good.
flabby, to say the least. So
I mean, there are certainly season 7 of DS9. There are some bits in it that are very good, but there's a lot that isn't as good.
It starts very poorly.
It does.
Season 7 Next Generation, is very
It's a mixed
poor.
bag, isn't it?
Oh, it's mostly poor,
Mostly
though.
bad, though. Season 7 of Voyager, I mean, it has...
I can't. They all merge into one Voyager episode. I'm not sure there's any standouts.
Well, there's the one where Neelix fucks off.
Yeah, which ironically gets a better goodbye than the rest of the crew put together, but there we go.
Yeah, it's just, no, so don't. Don't aim for 7 seasons unless you genuinely have 7 seasons worth of story to be telling, because that's the problem.
There is an interesting thing that happens with this season, but I'll be raising that as we cover it, rather than spoiling people if you haven't seen it yet. I
think the thing I would say, because this isn't spoilery, is that I didn't personally enjoy this any less than any of the other seasons.
No, I enjoyed it as well. I just noticed a pattern that I think if they'd gone for another season after this would have really killed the show a bit, really. So,
Got the problem with Bart Simpson. How many years has Simpson's been going and he's still the same age? If you're going to make the decision that you're not going to go Bart Simpson, you're automatically putting a time limit on your show. Now, there was something else I was going to mention in response to Lamb's feedback, but I've forgotten what it was. Sorry.
Oh, no.
This will be one of these occasions where I'm listening to the episode after we've recorded it, and I think, that's what I was going to say and forgot to. It happens every time when I listen to the podcast. It's not always the same person's feedback, but there's a point in the feedback section where I remember something I'd intended to say and forgot. Sorry, peoples.
Anyways, we'll see if Puri's feedback maybe jogs your memory. You never know.
Hello, Args. Puri here to talk about Dos Cerritos. Lots of fun. Lovely to be back in Lower Decks. Again, I'm not long finished this series, admittedly. But, it's good to be already reviewing it. So this is their parallel universe. And first thing I liked is that it wasn't the mirror version. That would have been a bit predictable. I actually quite like it as this slightly off to the side, in which case everyone's just a little bit different. You have more hair, a lot more hair. Both Shax and Ransom have significantly more hair, and the uniforms are just a little bit darker. And obviously, T'Lyn said remarkable rather than fascinating. I quite like that as kind of the concept. And I mean, that's one of our plots is just basically them in the universe. The main thing being that Captain Freeman, but Becky Freeman, is like a very hard-assed version of Mariner who rules with an iron fist and at the end wants to escape. Because it actually does play in quite well with Mariner not being entirely sure that she's going to mentor some ensigns. and her kind of being worried about taking responsibility, which is quite a nice theme going on from the end of the last season, where she wasn't really wanting to be an officer in charge, and she's still not entirely sure how to do it. But it was quite nice that she gets this early in the show a kind of example of how she doesn't want to do it. The other ones are, there's, everyone in our sort of, well, aside from Tallinn, actually, everyone gets a little aside. You have Boimler with his much more successful counterpart with a beard. And we have Rutherford with his fully robotic version because he'd missed Tendi, because Rutherford's missing Tendi. And it actually brought him. So again, all of it looks like fluff, but it actually has some meaning, which is one of the things I really like about Lower Decks. The other plot, it would have been really good if we'd gotten to the animated series before this, because it's Tendi doing pirate stuff, which I really like. The whole bit at the beginning with the kind of collector guy, I'm sure there's more Easter eggs than I spotted in the background of that thing. Her going to the Orion ship, only to be met by Orions, the blue ones. There's an animated series which has Orions, but they call themselves Orions and do look more blue. So it was a nice reference to that. She actually, that there is that thing again. No, they're doing all the Orion pirate stuff, and her crew seem to be very into the pirating. But then, as it turns out, well, no, they have to earn enough money to go off and do something, and they've always assumed that she got to go to Starfleet and become a giant science nerd because she was part of a big family. So I actually quite liked at the end of her saying, yes, her debt's paid, she could go back to the Cerritos, but actually she wants to solve this war with the Orions. So the two stories, one of the things, and it's actually been talked about since, particularly on the series, is how much they cram into an episode. We had a science wibbly plot, we had little character moments for just about everyone, and including our Captain Freeman being worried that she ends up in Starbase 80. And we had a whole B plot, or technically, I suppose you could actually call the Cerritos one the B plot, and the Tendi one the A plot. But either way, what your two plots, featuring different characters. So yeah, they cram a lot into these. So as always with Lower Decks, I'm just happy to be here. A bit bittersweet because it's the last series, but on the other hand, I have been a big fan of them ending it on a high, but we'll see if I keep that opinion till the end. So all that remains for me to say is do keep up the good work. I always look forward to the podcast, and we'll hopefully be back in the next ones. But until then, bye for now.
Bye.
Yes, there's more hair in this alternate universe, and I suspect more hairspray as well. Perhaps this is an 80s universe.
Well, the mullet would fit with that, wouldn't it?
It would rather, yes.
Yes.
And indeed Captain Mariner's hair, for that matter.
Yes, that's true, actually. Or maybe it is the 80s. Oh, God.
And they do cram in a lot in Lower Decks episodes. I mean,
but then they all talk faster.
And the episodes are shorter. But it's a real change of pace from the original series, where so often the stories feel rather padded. There's one coming up next.
Okay.
Say no more about that.
I think that the Tendi plot is technically the B plot because it only involves one person, but I kind of feel like you don't have to have an A and a B. They can both be key.
Yeah, and because the four central Lower Decks characters are there isn't like one star.
No.
There's 4 stars, with Tallinn coming quite close to that now. But anyway, so as a result, it feels like there are 2 A plots, effectively.
Yeah, it does. There is something, I don't know whether Lama mentioned it or not, you'll have to tell me, but I think we are reviewing this sooner after it's aired than we have with any of the other ones. So less time has passed. Mm-hmm. And I personally think that more than anything is more likely to affect my enjoyment of the episodes, in that I might start remembering them too well, and therefore not. If I remember something too well, I tend not to enjoy it as much.
Right.
Whereas some people might be like, "Oh, it's more fresh in the memory. This is more fun." I tend to be the opposite. I tend to need time and a break.
I felt it was important to cover it as quickly as we did, just because it was the last season.
Okay, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying,
Lower Decks as a thing is still fresh in people's minds.
Yeah.
I suspect there are fans like us who will always put this up there as one of the best Trek series, and we'll be rewatching it on a relatively regular basis. But I think for others, this
it would have dropped off the radar.
Exactly.
But that's fair enough. But
and when the new Section 31 thing kicks off a whole new series of that, okay, maybe that's not.
No, it's going to be a movie that we will watch, and what we could do, depending on when it airs, is make it a commentary.
No, I don't think we'll do that. But the bar couldn't be lower on that one. But anyway,
yeah, I will watch it because it won't cost us any extra money.
Yes,
but doesn't necessarily mean I want to cover it, if you see what I mean. But I might do. I don't know. But yeah, so what might happen is the more into the season we get, the less time there'll be since I last watched whatever it was.
Yeah,
and
because we're every 2 weeks, so that will stretch it out a bit.
So it'll be interesting to see whether I get the same level of enjoyment or not. And I need to bear in mind when I'm giving my comments that if I remember it too well, that might mean that I'm not as enthusiastic about an episode as I was the first time around. So I don't know whether that's remotely relevant to what Llama said, but that was what I was trying to remember. And I apologise for my senility.
Oh, comes to us all. Who am I? Anyway. Next time, on the 16th of January, we shall be covering the original series' Let That Be Your Last Battlefield.
Oh, God.
Oh dear. And then on the 23rd, we're covering Shades of Green, which is kind of part 2 of this episode. So there we go.
And interestingly, that's one that does stick in the memory. It'll be interesting to see how much I enjoy it or not. I don't mean I won't enjoy it at all. Now, when it's too fucking late, now I get my arm back.
Dog has disappeared round your butt.
Yeah.
For some reason. I mean, that's a very dangerous place to be. Anyways.
Thank you.
It's true. We'll catch you next time. Take care. Cheery bye.
Bye. The art for Borgcast Lower Decks is the fantastic work of Charlie Thorburn.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
We have a Facebook group which you're welcome to join.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Shut it down!
Remarkable.